Listen, I keep to myself and I move in my own lane, focused on my own journey and my own path, not worrying about what others got to say about me and what others are doing. Let me tell you something. It took me a long time to get to this spot. It took me a long time to get to this place, but I'm here now. And my circle is intentionally small, built on trust, built on loyalty. And I only let a select few into my world. Trust isn't something that I hand out freely. No. Friend is not a word that I use often. These things you have to earn over time with me. I've learned to embrace who I am and flaws and all, and without trying to imitate anyone else or fit into the spaces that do not align with me. I don't bother nobody.
Hey, these brothers. Man, just for a moment, man, I want to talk about the power, man, that we as men incorporate when we commit to ourselves, man. And the reason I want to talk about this, man, is because like the majority of our lives as men is about, getting it out the mud. Meaning we're always on the path. Meaning once we accomplish our goal, we're gonna sit there for a minute and enjoy the spoils of war, right? But in a few minutes, man, it's time to get back on the path and accomplish something else, expand in some other way of life. So a lot of our lives, right, if we're living right, is spent by getting it out the mud, man. And the process of getting it out the mud, man, is much easier when a man learns to commit to himself, to remain faithful to himself, to remain loyal to himself. You know what I'm saying? Because you gotta understand, man, we as men, we're faithful to everything else. Let your job call you 2 hours early and say, come in. We need you in ASAP. Let your job call you and say, hey, we know it's snowing sideways. We know tornado warnings are in effect, but we need you here today. Bro, you gonna get up, man, and go through anything to get to that job because you're committed to it. You're faithful to it. You're loyal to it. But a lot of us men don't have that same commitment to ourselves, man. Hence why we sit there and live our lives in circles. You know what I'm saying? We're even committed to some of our brothers more than we are committed to ourselves, man. Man, throughout my, years of living, man, whether it was military, whether it was at certain jobs, whether it was here on social media, man, I've met some brothers, man, that are brilliant. I met some brothers, man, that I've yet to even meet in person, but I still hold them dear as if they're my brothers. Like somehow we found a bond. But at the same time, man, I've connected with some brothers that literally ain't shit. I've connected with brothers, man, that I let stay in my house, that I've given game, that I've given any kind of information to, man, and they just turn around and be just worthless brothers. So I'm saying we commit to brothers, man, or other people more than we commit to ourselves sometimes. For some reason, it's hard for a man to commit to himself in some cases. And a lot of it is because of the way we're wired. We're wired to protect and take care of everybody else outside of us. Even us being loyal to women, man, can be a fault. I think if a man is going to get into a relationship, man, whether it's marriage, whether it's long term, he should be committed to that woman. Which means if this woman is in your life, you should be committed to protecting and providing. You should be committed to making her life easier, making her life better. You should be committed to those things. But I'm going to tell you this, man, a lot of times us as men are so committed to these relationships that we forfeit our own happiness. We forfeit our own dreams. We forfeit, we'll be thriving and living life, hit our 20s, hit our 30s, whenever you get in those long-term relationships and just forget about all the things you said you were going to do. So all I'm saying is, man, we have to learn first to commit to ourselves. Commit to ourselves, man. And when I say commit to ourselves, what I'm really saying is we have to learn to like when I say commit to ourselves, let me say it like this first, man. Because it's hard for a man to commit to himself if he hasn't even composed a mission to commit to. I'm aware now, man, that the reason why most men don't commit to their mission, man, is because they're so occupied with giving out love and life and energy to everything else that they've just completely subdued everything in their mind that they wanted to achieve. So the first thing you have to do, man, is be honest with yourself. Take 5 minutes to yourself, brothers, and ask yourself, what is it that I want? Who is it that I want to be? It's a sad thing when I see a man that doesn't ask himself those questions on a regular basis. And you can tell by the way he moves. You can tell by all the energy he talks about is outside of himself, about what he needs to do for the world. It's never about, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. So the first thing you have to do, man, is compose a mission for yourself. And I know that sound like I really mean that, bro. Like sometime throughout the day, man, when you're at work, sometime tonight, when you Netflix and chilling, at some point throughout the day, man, sit down for 5 minutes and say, bro, if I could move in any way that I wanted to move, if I could do anything, if I could be anywhere, if I could create any avatar for myself that I want to, what would that be like? Who would I be? Where would I be going? That's the first step, man. Find some life to commit to, bro. Find some life to commit to, and move in that energy, man. And when I say commit to it, brother, it's no different than when I say if a person says commit to a woman in a relationship, meaning be faithful to it. When you say this is the avatar I've created, this is who I am, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm going to achieve, be faithful to it. Be faithful to it. Just like if you stepping out on your wife or stepping out on your girlfriend, it's a violation. If you're doing something, or if your lady is doing something outside of the relationship that y'all agreed upon, which is the goal, now you're cheating on yourself, bro. So compose your mission and be faithful to it, man. But like the Bible said, man, faith without works is not enough. So not only should you be faithful to it, man, you should ensure that every single task that you do throughout the day, man, is in alignment with it. Being faithful to yourself, being loyal to yourself, putting work in. And I'm talking about this, man. I'll keep it 100. I'm talking about this, man, because like I was sharing with my brothers in the Power Circle this past Sunday, I was sharing with my brothers that when we go through certain things and do certain things and put certain things in place, whether it's fasting, whether it's meditating, like a lot of things were exposed within myself, to myself. I had to go back within myself, man, and renew my vows to myself. The first marriage of man. I had to go back into myself and renew the vows within myself, which means first I had to re-identify my mission. You know what I'm saying? I had observed that I had gotten lost in the sauce. And I'm not saying I was in a dark space or at the bottom, nothing like that. But I could see in my life where I lost focus. So I had to go back in and recalibrate. And I said, you know what, man? I'm starting to see where I'm beginning to be more committed to everything else except myself. I observed that. Which means every time this phone rings, I would pick it up. Which means every time somebody needed something from Soul, I would say, hey, let me stop what I'm doing and address it. Then after so much time, I would look at my own life and say, dang, man, like I'm dropping the ball in all these areas. So I had to go back in and commit to myself, man. I had to go back in and renew my vows because I understand that first marriage of man, if that isn't intact, there is no getting it out the mud. There is no getting it out the mud. If the triad hasn't been formed. So commit to yourself, brother. And when I say the power of it, once we commit to ourselves, man, once we close that circuit, man, spirit, God, man literally becomes Midas. Man literally is handed a blank check in life. Meaning he can move how he wants to move. He can accomplish what he wants to accomplish. You know what I'm saying? But it takes that commitment to self, man. And I'm just observing it's something that us as men, it's just an area, man, we lack. I mean, I don't know if it's society. I don't know if it's part of our programming. But you know, a lot of us, man, we really have to start incorporating, you know, self-love back into our lives, being slightly selfish back into our lives, man. Thinking about what it is we want to accomplish back in our lives. You know what I'm saying? Putting ourselves first. Like there's nothing wrong with putting yourself first as a man, brother. There's nothing wrong with putting yourself first. Not saying to disregard our obligations. Not saying that we don't have family members to take care of and children to raise properly. But stop putting yourself on the back burner. Because once you put yourself first, man, once you align yourself with the hierarchy and you move in that energy, man, you'll start knocking life's dominoes down, bro. Life will be fulfilling. You know what I'm saying? Life will be worth living. You know, when you see these guys walking around wherever you at, grocery stores, malls, wherever, and they're just looking lifeless. They're not moving as if they have somewhere to be. They're not plugged in, man. They're not committed to themselves. So all I'm saying today, man, is this is just a reminder, bro, that we need to commit to ourselves first. Because that's when life starts to happen, man. If you're finding yourself right now, and I don't care if it's at work and you miserable, if you're in a relationship and you're miserable, if your living conditions are miserable, if you're living in a city or state and you're miserable, I promise you, man, if you commit to yourself, man, everything will change.